This is a way of assembling step 45 of the pattern Vogue V1531. As with any Vogue patterns, they're beautiful, but sometimes there are really tricky bits to it. It took me a lot of time, a lot of head scratching to figure this one out, but I thought I think I did. So I thought I would make a quick video to help someone else who might be stuck. I saw in the sewing community that this was the most difficult step for this particular pattern. So this is my interpretation of the instructions, and hopefully it will help you out as well. So where are we in the process? By now you would have assembled your bodice lining and your skirt lining and attach everything together, and you would have just attached the cowl to the lining and the bodice. You would have also slip stitched on the lining side, so that would have been your previous step. So where we are now is that we're trying to attach the lining to the bodice. Problem is, because you have the cowl in the way, it is a bit difficult and you can't do it the normal way. The other thing to say is hopefully you would have followed the instruction, but even if you kind of went off piste, it is really important to make sure that you haven't closed your side seams, because this is the step that will make things a little bit more difficult if they are already closed. So the instructions tell you to attach the lining to the bodice right sides together, but obviously because the cowl is in the way, this is a little bit more difficult. So how are we gonna do that? So we're taking our main fabric and our lining together, and we are trying to attach them right sides. And the only way that actually works is something like that, where effectively you are creating a tube with the rest of your fabric, the rest of your bodice and lining actually inside towards the middle. That is why you will only be able to go up to a certain point, and the instructions actually call for on the front side to go as far as the princess seams, and a little bit further up on the back. So we've put them together, and we are starting to pin. Pin. There we go. When we get to the princess seams, because my fabric is a little bit bulky, I will try to distribute the bulk. So I'm moving one seam allowance to one side and the other seam allowance to the other side, making sure that the actual seam line matches. And I'm sticking a pin here. And there we are. If you can go a little bit further, depending on how pliant your fabric is, do that. So I will try to put in one more pin. There we go. I'm coercing the fabric out of my sort of fabric tube. And there we are. And now if we turn it, would have stuck on one of my pins. That's what usually happens. There you go. But it's sort of starting to look like a seam. And then we have to do the exact same thing for the back. So we are following our armhole towards the back, and we have to do the same thing all over again. So we are twisting it to put our side seams together. There we go. So we're matching our edges, we're matching our notches, and the instructions say to go 2 inches above your notches, but I would recommend, if at all possible, try to go all the way to the shoulder seam, because what you're trying to do is make sure they align very nicely and neatly. So there's one shoulder seam, there's the other shoulder seam. I'm spreading the seam allowances and I'm making sure that the stitch lines align. I'm putting a pin here, and then one more pin here. And there we go. I could potentially go a little bit further up, but it's not really necessary. There we go. So if we lay it out, it sort of looks like what it would end up being stitched. And we see that there's nothing caught. Our seam allowances, our shoulder seams match, our princess seams match, and it's ready to sew. So I'm going to show you what the other side looks like, because I've already completed this step. So there we go. nice and neat. It's already been pressed, and also it's been underlined, but you can only go up to a certain point again because you can't go as deep in a tube, but that's normal with understitching. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment in the blog post. I would be very happy to help. Good luck and happy sewing!